let's look at the top five
Yeah,
strikers though.
for sure. Yeah, I think this is weird. I think this has definitely changed a lot in the last few months. But I think number one, I think this is a tricky one. I think this is actually a really tricky one. I know you probably want to put Volk.
You know what I'd have? I'd
I'll put
have this.
Pereira.
I'm gonna give my top five right now, and I'm gonna go in order.
Yeah.
I would say Volkanovski. I would say I'm gonna say Volkanovski. I'm gonna say Piotr Jan. I'm
Really?
gonna say yeah. No. I'm gonna say Volk, Alex Pereira. Then I'm gonna say uh fuck. It's kind of hard to put a heavyweight.
What Asanya?
Nah. I put Piotr Jan and I'm gonna put O'Malley before Adesanya.
So you have O'Malley behind Peter Yan,
Yeah,
but O'Malley was out striking him. So Peter Yan.
true, but I think Piotr Jan in a 5 rounder finishes O'Malley on the feet. I really do because you look at Piotr Jan on the feet in the fourth and fifth, but he's just different. So here's what I think. I'm gonna say top five. Number one, Volk. Number two would be um,
Yeah.
Pereira. I think he's a glory champion, 2 times beat Adesanya, the only guy to really beat his ass on the feet and finish him on the feet in the UFC. Um, then I'm gonna say O'Malley, Jan, and Gon. Adesanya is number 6. I don't even have Adesanya in my top five, guys. I think Adesanya is just a tad bit overrated. I've been saying this for the longest time. He got outstruck by Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is a great striker. He's an underrated striker, but he got outstruck by Jan, and Jan isn't anything crazy. Now Adesanya at 185 is better at 205, but
But he's got the
still,
reach,
you
you
put
know.
him up there against another guy who's tall, who can strike, he may lose those 50% of the time. So, and he was losing, he lost against Pereira, lose against him again. Adesanya is definitely number 6 on that list, but I would have to say Piotr Jan and O'Malley are right there with him. And those guys are smaller. They're probably even more skilled and more fast. Cyril Gahn's just in my top five because he's, for a heavyweight, he is so impressive. So I have to put him up there because he defies the odds for heavyweight. So I have to put him up there as well.
Yeah,
And Whitaker would be, right outside of those guys. He'd be right behind a guy like Adesanya.
yeah,
I
for
think
me,
Whitaker's the best guy who's not out of those 6, but that's my top five. I'd say Volk number 1.
yeah, for me, I got
Max Holloway and Poirier would be in my top 10 too.
yeah, for me, I got what's his name number? I got Pereira number one. I got Surreal Gone number two.
Damn. Okay.
Gone number two. I'm gonna put Poirier number three. I feel like we're kind of sleeping on Poirier. I'm gonna put O'Malley number four.
Okay.
A real weird list.
No Volk.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put Volk number five. Oh wait, I forgot about Volk. Okay, all right. I completely
Dude,
forgot.
Volk, he just
Let me do that
destroyed
again.
Max, dude. He's
I
got to be in
completely
there.
forgot about Volk. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna put number one Pereira, number two Cyril Gahn, number three Volk, number
Okay.
four Poirier, number five O'Malley.
I
That's
like that. So where would Piotr Jan be?
Peter
Would
Yan
he be top 10?
he'd be right outside of that. Like he'll be like
Yeah, I think Piotr Jan, I don't have a problem with O'Malley being ahead of him. I don't, but I'd like to see that go 5 rounds. And listen, if that did go 5 rounds, Piotr Jan TKOs him, those guys have to switch.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
because it was the wrestling that gave Piotr Jan the slight edge, I have to say that, um, in that fight. So it wasn't really just the striking that I thought won it for Jan. I would have to say the guys that are right outside the top five for me is, I think Jan and Adesanya, those guys are interchangeable. I really like O'Malley in there. I think he really proved himself to be really good. But still, man, I'm not convinced that he's that much better than Jan. So I'm gonna have to say my top three: Pereira, Volk, Cyril Gahn. Then outside of that, it'd be Jan, Adesanya, O'Malley. Outside of that, it'd be Whitaker, Max, and Poirier. I put Poirier and
So
Max
Poirier is deep
together.
in the list. Okay.
Poirier is in my top 9,
Okay.
but I think him and Max are right there, and I think Whitaker, is right there. And number 10 could be a Fiziev maybe, but here's the issue with Fiziev.
Oh,
Here's the issue. Who has he actually beat? Like all these guys that we've just named have good resumes. Fiziev hasn't really beat anyone that's a good striker. Think about it like this: he's beat Bobby Green, but Bobby Green beat his ass in the third round, like kicked his ass. So I'm not ready to say Fiziev. If Fiziev schooled Bobby Green for all 3 rounds, I'd put him higher. But even he didn't do that. Like does Fiziev, and he just beat RDA, who's a little older, who's not the best striker. He took him 5 rounds. Like who I want to see Fiziev beat a guy like Poirier before I throw him in there.
yeah, I mean, in terms of like what we've heard about him and all that, I mean, like apparently at Tiger Muay Thai, like he's teaching the striking lessons. Like he's like, you know what I mean? He's teaching Peter Yan. He's teaching Israel Adesanya. He's teaching Kai Kara France. Like he's teaching all these guys how to strike. So I think it'll be interesting to see like him in his next fight, like against like a guy like a Gaethje or something. I
I
think
want
if
to see him in another stand-up battle.
it was a Poirier or a Gaethje, like
I think Gagey is so overrated. I think he schools Gagey.
oh, I
I'm
think
not going to be convinced even if he beats Gagey.
you're not gonna be convinced if he beats Gaethje, like schools him.
If he beats him in the first round, maybe.
I
But
don't know
if
if
it
the first round would really show that. I feel like it'd be like a
for
second
sure.
round. You know what
But
I'm saying?
still, man, like Charles Oliveira outclassed Gagey and looked like a master on the feet against Gagey. And Charles is good, but he's not top 10.
No, definitely not. No, but I think Fiziev has that ability. I just think he hasn't proven it yet. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think I think he could school a Poirier striking wise, which is
Really? That's a big
I
statement.
think he does. You know what I'm saying? And I like Poirier. I'm a huge Poirier
So
fan. I
you think
think
Fiziev, if you think he schools Poirier, then he's in your top
I do
five.
but I'm not ready to like
Yeah,
I
yeah, I see what you're
you know what I'm
saying.
saying? Like I think if he needs that
To be
one,
honest, man, I think Poirier beats Fiziev.
you do.
I think he
Oh,
does.
bro. I don't know. I
I
mean,
think Poirier would gas him out on the
that's
feet.
yeah, that's the factor. But I that is a really good fight.
That's a good
That's
fight. I
why
want to
it's
see
a
that
great
more than the
show.
Gagey one, but I'd like to see the Gagey one too. Oh, here's a good question. What about Brandon Moreno?
His striking.
Because the thing is, like, I know it's 125, but like
Kai
those
Car
flyweights are so fast. You know what I mean? They're so skilled. Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo too. Those guys are great strikers.
they are, but I
Maybe
just
we're
feel
not
like
giving them the credit just because they are 125ers.
maybe, but I don't know. I feel like they don't really like they're not that like flashy or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
compared
know,
to
but they're so fast. You know
that is
what's his name is not that Pereira's not that flashy.
I mean
He
when he's
throws
knocking
leg he
people
throws
out,
leg kicks, some body kicks, and left hooks.
I mean when he's knocking people out, that's a bit flashy. And also
I mean, yeah, Brandon Moreno's knocked out what's his Kai Kara France
yeah,
with a
he's a
beautiful
really good
body kick.
striker. Yeah, I mean maybe it's just it's hard to put him in front of guys like Sean O'Malley, Peter
Yeah, for
Yan.
sure.
Those guys, in my opinion, are like top notch. But I think Fiziev, whatever you say his name, I think he's gonna be like I think he's gonna be there real soon. The UFC seems to want to book him against Charles, which is a fucking horrible match for Charles. I have to say. I think that's gonna be.
Terrible matchup.
We've been talking about for a while. Like one of these times, Charles is gonna get knocked out, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
if we book him against Fiziev. I think that's gonna be the time where he gets knocked out. You know, he's way too hittable. We thought he took the shots and fell on purpose almost, but the Islam fight showed that that's not the case. That his chin is just iffy, you know, and it just gave him more time to recover by people not jumping on him. So I think Fiziev is no joke in the striking department, obviously, and Charles not moving his head around, keeping his head stationary, I think would really hurt against a guy like Fiziev. I think what is Charles going to do to him realistically? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. He has to take his back. Like
Not
other
I
than
mean,
that,
Fiziev is great like he's great takedown defense. You know what I'm saying? Like you saw how hard it was for RDA, who's probably a better wrestler than Charles. Like not like I know Charles is better when it comes to the ground, but RDA is better at getting people down, I would say.
he
So
just has to take his back. Like if he doesn't do that, he loses.
I just don't see that happening. I don't see him getting to his back. You know, I mean, I think Fiziev is smart enough. He's aware enough to not let that happen. You know what I'm saying? And or even not even let Charles like take him down. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's gonna get rocked by Charles. Like I think he'd smoke Charles. I think he'd probably finish him in the first round. Honestly.
I think Fiziev finishes him too.